Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Now, Uttarakhand on Monday, that is yesterday, became the first state in India to implement the Uniform Civil Code. And Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami launched the UCC portal and issued a notification marking the adoption of the Civil Code. Now, what does the Uniform Civil Code supposed to do? Now, what they are saying is that UCC is a set of laws that aims to standardize personal laws across religions. It addresses various issues, including marriage, divorce, inheritance, and live in relationships. It also aims to ensure equal property rights and protect children's rights with penalties for non compliance. Now, there are several issues which are surrounding this controversial uniform civil code. Now, the biggest questions that does this uniform civil code incentivize patriarchy? Second question is that does it deepen the state control? The third question, does it infringe on the individual choices? And is this what the nation wants? So we'll try and answer all these questions. Joining me now this evening is Anas Tanveer, who's the Supreme Court lawyer and also advocate on record. Thank you so much, Anas, for joining.
Thank you,
What do you
Biju.
think about this uniform civil code, which is going to be implemented? And do you are we really in a position to say that this uniform civil code is within the framework of the Constitution?
Not really. See, the purported reason for implementing or bringing the Uniform Civil Code is to realize the constitutional promise of Uniform Civil Code. But we need to go back into the history of, the Constituent Assembly debates. Uniform Civil Code do not form part of the fundamental right or the fundamental duties. These are DPSP, part of the DPSP. Now, the directive principle of state policy, they are the aim that the state must realize, that how it should be governed and the ambitions that the nation should have. Among them, one of them is this. There are other better dreams to be realized which no one talks about, like clean air, like scientific temperament. We have killed all of that. Okay, but this is something because this is political. This has been brought in. And lately we have seen this trend that the emphasis has shifted from the rights to duties and other affiliated issues of the constitution. We haven't fully even realized the fundamental rights. There are people on the margins, there are people who have been forgotten, who don't even have their basic rights. They don't even know they have those rights. One of the duty of the state in the DPSP itself is free legal aid, is legal awareness. No one is working on that. We have created departments for that. We have created a system for that. But how far it has been successful, obviously there is no audit. We don't know.
But this entire narrative coming from the government that this uniform civil code promotes gender equality, it promotes secularism, all of this is coming from the government side, and safety to women, nothing of that sort like triple talaq or polygamy or halala will happen if the uniform civil code is in place. This is what the BJP quarters say.
Right. Talking about equality, I mean, this is saying that a lion and a monkey is equal. We are a diverse nation, right? I don't think there is any other nation in the world blessed with so much diversity in terms of geography, in terms of history, in terms of language, in terms of religion, caste, and so on and so forth. We were once a proud nation of unity in diversity. Anekta mein ekta. We were celebrating all of that. It's just 15 years ago we were celebrating all of that. We seem to have forgotten what it was. So the idea one nation, one this, one nation, one that is antithetical to the constitutional norm. As simple as that. You cannot take away the right of a certain community to follow their personal law. It is protected under Article 13 of the Constitution. You cannot simply take that away. So, for example, if there is a ban on bigamy or polygamy, okay, very well, very progressive, but two issues. One, It is the right of a community to follow their personal law. They are not. I mean, Muslims are not mandated to practice polygamy or bigamy, but they have this option. What about those people who leave their wives without divorcing them and start living with someone else? It's if you take up the data on polygamy and bigamy, you can project it on Muslims. Ki they do that; it is allowed in them. But in practicality, the number of Muslims practicing polygamy, the percentage, is far less than other communities. And then talking about polygamy, a basic point. Let's talk about uniformity. This is one state bringing a uniform civil code. Now, for example, I am a resident of UP. I'm working in Uttarakhand. Why should it be applicable on me? This is same as saying that the Assam NRC should be applicable on anyone who visits Assam. It can't be that, right? It is state specific. So if I move out of Uttarakhand, does this stop implementing on me, being applicable on me? And if I'm married in Uttar Pradesh, I come and start living in Uttarakhand, there's no prohibition on that. The constitution gives me a right of movement to reside anywhere of my choice. So how will it be? How will this marriage registration and all these issues? How will you deal with that? We are looking at some very hilarious, and I'm hopeful it just. I mean, I'm just saying it should be hilarious only because it can also turn tragic. But we are looking at some hilarious situations that will develop as far as the law is concerned. Because
No, but
this law will
you
be
say,
challenged, there will be the implementation, there will be interpretation, there will be disputes. And see, understand, IPC came long ago. All right, and until BNS came, a lot of provisions were still being understood. Okay, so we don't know how this will play. Only time can tell. But this is, and a lot of provision in this are contrary to the constitutional principles, are
right.
arbitrary, and they will, and I'm hopeful that the High Court or the Supreme Court will declare them to be so.
No, but the biggest uh, controversy in this uniform civil code is the point related to the live-in relationship, that it intrudes
Yes.
into private space. What you think is very, very concerning as far as live-in relationships is concerned, and how is it really going to unfold in terms of the society? How is society going to reciprocate? Will there be a backlash? Will there be a lot of moral policing? What will it do actually?
This is a question that one should ask the Chief Minister, honestly. But I'll answer this. Do you know what happens to the couples who go to register their wedding under Special Marriage Act? There's a provision that you have to give 1 month notice. Now, how this has been weaponized, there have been stories where this has been, I mean, an interreligious couple, if they are going to get married, they give a notice, that notice is published, and sometimes the officer sends notice to their homes or give to the mom. There are vigilantes around who don't appreciate interreligious marriage. And I'm not saying this in only one community. Almost all communities, you'll find such vigilantes. If you go on Twitter, there are Muslim who are saying, ki, how are Muslim girls roaming around with Hindus? There are Hindus who are saying, why are Hindu girls roaming around with Muslims? This is deeply patriarchal. This is controlling the autonomy of women. This is telling the woman that, no, you cannot go out with with someone from the different religion. This is, and once you start registering it,
You mean
once
to
you
say that
start,
more of no, so you mean to say that more of love jihad instances will come up, especially after this implementation of the UCC?
I don't accept the word love jihad to begin with. Okay, this
No,
is all a
no,
fiction.
as
This
in,
is all fiction. This
no,
is
no, this is
absolutely
all
fiction,
portrayed by BJP.
and I'm just reiterating why it is a fiction. In the Hadia case, Supreme Court has officially put a lid on this issue. Yet this keeps coming up because obviously it benefits certain people. And this, in the very psychology of the person propagating this, it goes on to show that their psychology, that they still consider women to be chattel, to be their property, and they determine who the woman, even if she's not related to them, but is from their community, they will dictate who she dates, who she lives with.
Hmm.
An adult woman, no one has a bloody right. Sorry, No one has a right to dictate to any woman who she lives with, who she cohabits with, who she goes out with, what she eats, what she wears. It's
Right.
as simple as that. This is impinging on the autonomy, and not just that. I don't know what is the mechanism, and there is nothing in this whole code that reflects any attempt at securing this data. This will definitely violate it. This is a gross invasion of privacy. You should
Right.
not, and citizens should rise against this, because you cannot let a state enter your kitchen and your bedroom. The
Absolutely.
moment you do
But,
that, hmm,
right. If you look at the fine print of this Uniform Civil Code, it says that Uttarakhand couples, regardless of residency, have
yes,
to prepare a
imagine.
statement of live-in relationship to the jurisdictional registrar. Now, what does that mean? Does it give more authority now to the to the investigative authorities to summon such partners and inform the local police? Or how is it really going to manifest?
See, first of all, why will any other state follow the registration process for Uttarakhand? Why will a couple, say, for example, living in Karnataka? They may be from Uttarakhand, but they're living in Karnataka. Why will they register? Where will they register in Karnataka? For that to happen, the Karnataka government has to recognize this law. There is no constitutional provision with regard to that. There is no mechanism with regard to that. The registration can only happen in Uttarakhand. And again, the question is very fundamental. Why should they register? This will lead to social ostracization. This will lead to moral policing. This will endanger their life. This is not saving anyone. This won't save anyone's life. But this will endanger. For example, in Delhi, you have a provision of registering senior citizens. Okay, especially those who are living alone, for their protection. I'm sure to some degree, they are protected. The Delhi police protects them. I'm aware of that. But still, almost on a weekly basis, you hear news of elderly couple being killed, being robbed, living alone. They are registered. Registration can't protect anyone. I was listening to this statement by the chief minister. He said, "We will not have a Shraddha Wakar case again."
Right.
Registration won't stop that. And there have been 100 other cases
Hmm.
where there have been different people, men from different religion, who have committed such crime on women of different religion.
Hmm.
We don't talk about that, but because here the boy was a Muslim, and we are always looking at pinpointing, looking at the gender of the or the religion of the criminal and the religion of the victim, we have
Hmm.
got into a very, very bad habit. We have started judging the whole population, a whole community, by the acts of few. All of this goes to the very core of our citizenship, very core of our morality.
So, Anas, this proclamation also comes with some stringent penalties, for non-compliance, which includes a jail
Right.
sentence. It includes a fine up to about 25,000. That is also something which needs to be discussed. That how can you put a fine up to 25,000? Then, of course, the law is also silent on what happens in case of harassment of such partners by the kins, by the vigilantes, or the self-appointed champions, of the Indian culture and tradition. So, what happens in that? And why is the law silent, and does this point not to be thrashed out more for discussions as well, that the law is completely silent on this bit?
You're absolutely right. I have in past commented on this. This is the government that has legislative intent, but not legislative competence. And I'm talking about the government at the center as well as the Uttarakhand. They
Hmm.
want to come out with drafts, but they don't have the brains for a proper legal drafting. They don't even think what would be the consequences, how things will fall. Now, for example, there is a compulsory registration. All right, it should be. It's very progressive. I appreciate that. Your marriages, births, death, they should be registered. But the penalty is high if you fail to. Now, someone who is uneducated, mean, why do we presume that everyone is educated? We see our own literacy rate? Now you have created another bureaucratic handle, another red tapeism, another place where there is a chance, likelihood that a person will have to pay some bribe. For what? To get married or to register their marriage. And if you don't do, then there is a fine. This does it can't work like that. You have to first create the awareness. You cannot create a law for the keeping in mind only the few.
Hmm.
You and again coming back, where's the uniformity in it? You
Hmm.
have exempted the scheduled tribes. Why?
Hmm.
If you want uniformity, if you want everyone on the same pedestal, why have you excluded scheduled tribes?
Hmm. No, but
What was
what do
the
you think
political
is the intent of
compulsion?
the government? Anas, what do you think is the intent of the government if they have excluded the scheduled tribes? Is it for the political purposes that they've kept them out so that that vote bank is it continues to support them? What do you think is the intent of keeping the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes out of this purview?
This is the only intent. Political, completely political. It's nothing else.
Hmm.
They know there would be a pushback from scheduled tribes. They have programs to bring them, especially those who have converted, to bring them back into the Hindu fold, the Sanatan fold. The idea is this: they can't afford a revolt from scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, so they have excluded scheduled tribes from this. And the objective is simply this. And I'm sorry to say this, but the objective has for a long time only been this, to show Muslims their place. That we can do anything we want. But if you are saying that the Adivasis have a, or the scheduled tribes have a distinct culture, then Muslims have a distinct culture. Hindus have a different distinct culture. The Hindus in Purvanchal have a distinct culture as compared to Western Uttar Pradesh, as even compared to Awadh, as compared to Bihar. And this is one belt. Where's the uniformity?
But
In a
what I fail to understand, Anas, is that in the name of uniformity, what is the government trying to bring in? What is the government trying to turn the society into by bringing in uniformity? And it's just not Uttarakhand. There are several other BJP ruled states which are talking about a UCC. Then there is a talk about bringing in a central legislation on UCC. So, what is it? I mean, do they want to do away with all the diversity of the country? And it's going to be
yes,
called unity in uniformity, not unity in diversity. Is that what the
yes,
government is?
absolutely, absolutely, yes. One nation, one election, one nation, one tax, one nation, one leader. This is not democracy. One nation, one this is not democracy. Democracy lies in diversity, in accepting that diversity, in accepting that we can be different and still live together in cohesion. And we have lived like that for years and decades and almost centuries now. So, an attempt like this is merely to break that unity, that fabric of the nation, the secular fabric of the nation. This is nothing more than that. And I am quite certain that the High Court or the Supreme Court will especially call few of these, at least few of these provisions as unconstitutional. They'll go away. I'm pretty sure about it.
So you're sure that this law will be challenged
It will be
subsequently?
challenged. Of course, it will be challenged.
But what is the kind of backlash which you are expecting now in Uttarakhand? Uttarakhand is a small state. We do not know how much of resistance the people will put over there, but then there is a lot of concern as to how the families will react to it. Now, imagine the parents of 70s and 80s who've had love marriages, and now their children will not be allowed to date freely. Their children will not be allowed to live in freely or have a live in relationship. So, within the families, what kind of a churning are you expecting?
I think this is going to be problematic for a lot of people. I also think that people don't take this seriously. See, we have a habit. We don't raise our voice until the issue comes to us. It starts biting us. So this is exactly that. People don't understand how deeply pervasive this is. This whole UCCU. I mean, I don't have a problem with the banning of polygamy or bigamy, but you cannot do that. You cannot take away the right of a certain community, Muslim community, especially to do anything, and not just Muslim community. Other communities also indulge into polygamy in different states, but this is just Uttarakhand, so obviously they will only be implemented on the Muslim community. You are giving equal inheritance right. We have seen how this has worked when the Hindu code was amended, the Supreme Court, the 2005 amendment. How people just rush to get to ensure that the daughters don't get the property. So we are going to see that churning. People are going to spend a lot of money on securing a lot of their rights, inheritance, and all those things. And we are also going to see a rise in vigilantism. We are going to see a rise in violence, and I I fear that this is just the beginning of, and this could just be beginning of something very sinister, and especially for young couples.
Right. So it's going to be it'll turn out sinister for many young couples, but as Pushkar Singh Dhami said that it will ensure gender justice. It'll ensure secularism. Now, how do you really take in this narrative which is put out by the BJP that if they are talking about gender justice, if they are talking about bringing in secularism, what is it eventually going to do to the people? And if that is the kind of narrative they are projecting, how will the people really take it? Because obviously they are tightening the patriarchal controls, they are intruding into the personal lives, they are interfering with the individual choices. All of that is being done, but all in the name of gender justice and secularism, and we are improving the lives of the people.
The answer lies in your question itself. I don't really have much to say about. See, this is the question that should be asked to the CM. How is it ensuring gender justice?
Hmm.
How is it ensuring gender justice? I mean, why you have brought a uniform grounds for divorce, including cruelty, desertion, and adultery. They were anyway the ground for divorce, both in Muslim law and Hindu law. The procedure was different. And understand, the procedure, I do a lot of matrimonial cases. And the difference among the Muslims and Hindus, especially in matrimonial cases, is this, that even if they are married for one day and they realize that this won't work, there's cruelty and everything. For getting a mutual settlement or even filing a divorce, a Hindu woman will have to wait for 6 months or to 1 year at least. Will have to bear that. That was
Right.
not the case with the Muslim women. They could just get out of the marriage and ask for khula. Or if we change the gender also, even for man who may be oppressed by the woman, and we have seen such cases by his wife, a Hindu man will have to wait for a year at least before even filing, and then there will, if it is contentious, then it will go on for years, and you'll have to pay alimony, you'll have to pay settlement and all that. And if it does not, if it is mutual, then also you'll have to wait for almost a year to more to get a degree. So maybe you were married for one day, but you'll have to wait for 2 years. This is not a uniformity, this is a regression.
Right.
Divorces should be made easy.
Hmm.
Because the whole concept कि वो कहते ना कि बेटी डोली में उठी है अर्थी में वापस आएगी, you're just bringing all that back by making divorce difficult. बेटी को आजादी दीजिए कि if it is not working, it's better to get out of that marriage than die in it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you haven't made it uniform, you have made it difficult for everyone. You thought that okay, it is difficult for us, let's make it difficult for others as well. Instead of taking the positive approach that okay, it is easier in them, let us make it easier for others as well.
Right.
So
No, but
this doesn't make
for young
sense.
girls, like you said, for young girls, that it's going to bring in something very very sinister. But I don't know how many of the teenagers would be really. I'm sure they will read up as to what is really coming their way. But if I may talk from a common man's perspective, a teenager on the street walking, like you see teenagers or the couples meeting up in parks and all. How is dating going to unfold now after this uniform civil code? Are we going to see the end of dating? Are we going to see the end of dating apps through which people come together? Because these are some serious questions, and people are wondering as to how it's going to manifest in the state now.
Even in during medieval periods, could you stop dating and love? Love won't stop, dating won't stop. It's unnatural to stop it. So it won't stop, it will become difficult. The women will be at far more risk than they were already. This is not progressive in any manner. You cannot stop people from loving each other. It's just simply not possible. No one has been able to do this. So There was like Abhi, there was this update that Oyo has also stopped, is
Yes,
coming up
I
with a
saw.
policy of stopping unmarried couples from hiring a room. Then you have these people with the lathis in the park. So they now women and men, they will take bigger risk. They will put themselves in more danger because the love will be expressed. You cannot stop that. So again, as I said, we are going back, we are regressing. I understand that we have to protect our culture. I am someone who always says that we should stop aping the West, but that does not mean that you regress into Far East.
Right,
Okay, there has
right.
to be a balance, and the mechanism that we already had was the perfect balance. Now you are disturbing that. There is a rule: don't change things. Don't repair when it's not broken. You are
Yeah,
doing that. You are simply doing that. The system was working fine. You just want to come up with something. You want to show you are doing something. So if you're doing something, open more colleges, open
right.
more hospitals. Focus on development rather than all this
Absolutely.
propaganda.
Right.
We need to, at some point, we need to have that kind of political conscience where instead of getting impressed by all this, the communities start asking questions. Okay, oh, that's all right, but road ka hai?
Absolutely.
Where is the road?
Yeah, one last bit, and then I'll wind up the interview. That there's confusion because a lot of BJP rule states are talking about a UCC. Now, what is uniform? I'm talking about uniformity. That does the uniformity actually exist when every state or a BJP rule state is going to have a separate set of UCC, and then the overall is the concept of the UCC totally flawed then? If every
Can
state is going
you,
to
I'm
have its
so
own.
sorry, but I lost you there. So can you just repeat
Okay,
the question?
okay. No, what I'm saying is that the BJP ruled states are bringing in their models of UCC, like Uttarakhand, and several other states are thinking of bringing a UCC. So, is the concept of a UCC flawed completely if there is no unanimity, there is no uniformity in the various states? We are going to see different models. And then on top of that, we are also going to have a central legislation, what they're talking about. So, is the concept of the UCC totally flawed? I mean, there should be one central law, or there should be different sets of laws in different states. This is a concept which many people have not been able to understand. What do you think is the government trying to do?
See, if the UCC was viable and feasible, our founding father would have brought it. They were far better legislators. I mean, can anyone claim to be a better draftsman than Baba Sahib or a better legislator than Dr. Rajendra Prasad? No, you don't have those kind of people. If it was feasible, then they would have brought it. It was not feasible. It was in DPSP. Understand, a lot of things that are in DPSP are a compromise because in the Constituent Assembly there was debate on bringing a lot of things in the fundamental rights. Obviously, that wouldn't have been practical. So the drafting committee led by Baba Sahib decided to put some few things in the DPSP, some ambitions to be achieved, aim to be achieved. Okay, they did not made it justiciable. You cannot go to court seeking implementation of the DPSP. Okay, there was a reason for that, but all of this came only as a compromise, and I still think they shouldn't have compromised on it because you leave the seed and it goes into something sinister. But uniformity by see I'll tell you, one of the biggest argument that they gave for uniformity is Goa, that there is a uniform civil code. No, there is no uniform civil code. There is a Portuguese civil code. You have a problem with the colonial IPC, but you don't have a problem with Portuguese civil code, and the Portuguese, they did not even go easily. We had to almost have a war with them after independence to liberate Goa. But we are following that law, and even under that Portuguese civil code, I'll tell you, there are separate laws for Catholics and Hindus and Muslims. It's not the same. So it is the whole premise of this uniform civil code is mistaken and wrong.
I'm sure it will be challenged in the court of law, and we'll have to wait and see how people react in Uttarakhand if there is a resistance from the various social groups. I'm glad you joined us on this show. Thank you so much, Anas, for joining this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure's all mine, Neelu. Great
Thank,
speaking to you.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.